We appreciate them taking out the time tonight to come. I want to let everybody know that we're broadcasting tonight on Facebook Live and YouTube, so if you have friends that could not make it, look at our show for ECU Sports. It's called Sports. Tonight, obviously not about sports, but I'm using our platform so we can have this meeting where not only for the people here tonight, we have a huge crowd, huge audience, but also the folks that are live watching on Facebook and YouTube. I thought this was way too important not to do it more. We need to do more than just the folks here. I want to say real quick, one quick ground rule that I want is we got the great doctors here. This is not about bashing the doctors. It had nothing to do about the hospital closing, so I want to make sure the reason that we're having this meeting tonight is our future. And the gentleman here and other doctors are here. And our whole point is it's very imperative that we have the Rural Emergency Hospital, REH. I'm not an expert in healthcare, I work in healthcare, but that's why I have these great gentlemen here tonight. So you guys want to go ahead and we've got some mics up here if you want to go ahead and get started. I'm going to give you the format, what we're going to do. The first hour, we have a great panel right here. They're going to discuss REH. Some people have said, hey, David, why in the world would you have anything on Wednesday night? It's church night. I'm aware of that. So the first part of the meeting, you have somewhere to be like Bible study at 7 o'clock or 6:30. You're going to be able to hear the information from these great gentlemen. And at 6:30, 6:25, 6:30, we're going to have a Q&A. So if you have some questions about REH or the future of the hospital or healthcare, access to healthcare in Martin County, Williamston, that we can do that. At 7 o'clock, those of you that want to speak tonight, from 7 to 8, you have a chance. We feel like it's very important for our community to be able to speak and give your feedback on the hospital. That 7 to 8 o'clock hour will be for you. So bear with us for that. And we'd like to ask if you respect other people's time and have just a few minutes per person. And that way we can get as many people to comment, maybe like what the county does in 3 minutes. So let's go ahead and get this show started, as they say. I want to give the doctors a chance to, if you guys make sure you turn on the microphones. But what we want to do, I guess, let's start with Dr. Manning. And obviously, it's Dr. Manning from Access Medicine. And then we can get those of Charles Brothers. Appreciate them here tonight. And I know we've got more people. We've got a couple more doctors coming here tonight as well. So if they would, whenever they're here, they can go ahead and come up. But I'll give it to Dr. Manning first. If you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll get to the discussion.
Dr. Stephen Manning, I'm a physician in Access Medicine downtown, and I've been down here now for almost 10 years in my practice. Totally back in Williamston. I'm from here, but have a vested interest in the community, very concerned about the way things are going, and as physicians, we're working hard to make sure we can care for the patients in the county. So that's what we're here tonight to talk about that in the future and what we're going from here. So excited to be here and thankful for that. So.
Hi, my name is Dr. Saka, and as you can see, you can make out with my brother, Dr. Harsh. So I go by my last name, and he goes by the first name so that they can differentiate. And I was thinking at some point I should start doing a mustache. So anyway, I came to Williamston about 10 years ago. I'm an Indian citizen, and as a part of my education back in Farmington, there was a commitment to serve 2 years in another served area, and that's why I came to Williamston. But right after that, I found that this place is very friendly. It's a place where I can call it a home, and it's 10 years now, I'm still here, and I can say to myself that I'm a East North Carolina home. As you all know, the hospital was running into financial issues, and that's why I had to close. It was felt on that at times we had the resources to keep the hospital going, but we did not have much support from certain folks up high in the organization. I did not say anything local, but up high organization, and that's why we could not recruit or retain services, and as a result, we continue to run into losses. So that's gone. The next issue that we are facing is that our clinics also are going to close on October 5th. So we have some updates we can give you about both the situations of the hospital and the clinics. But let me start here because when I start I cannot stop. So let me give it to my brother.
I would like to thank everybody to invite me at this level and give me the opportunity to talk. I just like my brother pointed out, I go by Dr. and I've been here 4 years. Prior to this, I was in Illinois, and this has been a wonderful experience for me to live in this community, to serve the people, and to also, know them sort of personally. Like Bill pointed out, that there are two different issues: rural emergency hospital, and the second thing is outpatient medicine and having the ability to see patients who are, not sick and they don't need to go to the ER. So far, there were in two clinics basically. Martin Family Clinic, it was a big primary care service here, and specialty clinics. We had orthopedics, pulmonary, sleep, nephrology, geriatrics, and cardiology. So we were blessed with specialty. I think overall, the town of this size usually does not have all that specialty available in the town. And while the bigger issue still is the rural emergency hospital, but that issue is obviously tied to bankruptcy and it is tied to a legal complex process, which we are pretty much watching at a spectator right now. Ideally, I would like to know what is our legal ground, what is our legal situation here, whether the trustee holds all the cards, or do we have anything that we can do at our end? And I think that is something that would be dealt with, but slowly over time, because as you know, even the legislation is not out yet for the rural emergency hospital. The bigger issue at the moment is that on October the 5th, we don't really have a way to keep the clinics open. Whether it's primary clinic or specialty clinic, and together, if I'm correct, there were anywhere between 20 to 25,000 patient visits that the clinics had all put together. And what will happen to those patients? And we're working on that more during these days than figuring out what can be done for the rural emergency hospital. I'll give it back to Joe and he will give you some updates on what we are planning on the clinics.
So for the clinics, we need a couple of things. Of course, we need the place to be able to run the clinic. So I did approach the county commissioners, asking them if they would, because our organization would probably be working under a not-for-profit umbrella. So I did approach the county commissioners and asked them, can you give us a site that you own for a low cost for a few months until we can get going on our feet. And I was told that yes, they can look into it. So that is one thing that we are trying to secure. The second thing is, over last 1 week, I was able to talk to folks up in Tennessee who own the clinic and mentioned to them that we want to run this clinic with the intention to expand it and serve the community, whether somebody has no insurance or low insurance or does not have money to pay. With that, they have offered us that they can give us all the stuff that is present in the clinic for $1. So we would be able to secure the equipment. The next step would be to secure a license for the clinic from the state of North Carolina Medical Board, which we have already applied. And we, at the same time, since the revenue from the clinic is not going to be much initially, there are a lot of what you call billing things that have to be addressed, and so we anticipate at least 6 months or more for the clinic to be back on its feet. Now, during this time, me and my brother, we still have to find a job. So what we are doing is we are about 2 weeks at another facility to be able to get a baseline salary, and then the remaining 2 weeks we will work at Williamston. So that there is somebody in the clinic all the time, and that way, even if we are not able to secure any funding, or we still will be able to offer the service. So that's for the clinic part. I will hand over the mic to Dr. Manning to give us updates for the Rural Emergency Hospital.
So, I don't have a lot of updates on this part, but as I said, in this because it's state budget related, and there's also legal hurdles to go through. So we've been told that next week there is a vote, a special vote on the rural emergency hospital designation and state funding that will also supply help for that. For hospitals like ours, who are either in the same state or are facing the same state, and there will be access to help with that. So funding that will help with that. It doesn't fix everything, but it does provide an avenue to be able to at least, hopefully at some point, use the building to have an emergency room, which we believe is the first step. We have to have emergency access in the county, and then be able to build from there. So we don't know how long it will take. We do know that there's delays because there's not much to be done until the 60 days is up, and the legal ramifications are sort of done or decided on, and then the hospital building can be decided on how it's to be used and go from there. So, as I said, we're sort of waiting pattern to see what happens on that, and that really depends on the county level as well as the lawyer who's in charge of the bankruptcy and trustee, and sometimes we don't really know what's going to happen about that. So, having rural REH status will help because it really provides, again, the funding, but also a more cost-based reimbursement from your costs, whatever insurance is going to take. So it's a higher reimbursement that provides an ability to maintain service that was hard in a rural county when you have an older population and more difficult that we face. So I think the biggest thing that I see in all this is really to hopefully encourage the community to have a buy-in in this. And this is a chance for the community to say what you want as a citizen, communicate that to our commissioners, everyone involved, and be able to provide whatever is needed for the citizens, for you, for all of us. And then looking long term, how do we maintain that? How do we have the kind of buy-in and trust that everyone says to themselves, I want to go to this hospital first, not second or third. Because if we're all honest with ourselves, a lot of times people decide to go to ECU Beaufort, ECU Greenville, or wherever else because they don't want to go to our. And we need to change that mentality. It's hard to do, and I realize there's lots of reasons for that, and we're not going to discuss the past, we're talking about the future. So how do we move on from here? And this is sort of a brainstorming session. I think it's a good time for you as a community to voice your thoughts, different brainstorm options that we may have thought of, and go from there. So that's where we are right now as far as I understand. Again, this is updated very often, so I may not have those other details on our RH status, but that's what I've been told last time. Just a few things about REH. So a lot of the questions come from the mind is folks is, when will the hospital be open? What will it have when it opens? So the first question is tied to, as Dr. Manning said, there is a law to be passed in the North Carolina Senate next week to come up with, or the governor has to sign the law of the Rural Emergency Hospital. What REH means is essentially a small outpatient an observation unit and emergency room. They can still have outpatient or day surgeries. So the initial setup would be just to open the emergency room. The next in line would be observation beds, and then the day surgery. Once the things improve and we are hearing about Medicaid expansion, when that happens, there is a possibility of additional funding to the rural hospitals, and that time the full-scale hospital can be opened. So the timeline is, if the bill is passed on September 11th, it may take a few months for it to be in action. Then at that point, the providers will approach the county or the trustee to say, hey, we are an interested party in opening this, and they will vet those organizations, make sure that there is a good faith involved in it, and then they will assign the provider. Now, one of the important warnings I would say here is the government gives about $3.2 million every year, divided in 12 installments to the Rural Emergency Hospital. That is about 50% of the revenue the Rural Emergency Hospital makes. In other words, they are giving this money to make sure that the organization does not sink. Now, a lot of the times, and this happened recently when, when the county was able to listen to providers that who's interested and who's not. And at that time, we found out that there were a lot of out-of-state providers who were trying to run the show. By out-of-state meaning somebody who is not invested into Williamston and who does not have any goodwill in Williamston, put it that way. Now, for them, all they could do is take that money and they can say, okay, we're going to put a nurse practitioner in the emergency room, and that's about it. And that will be a ER. Now, that's truly not an emergency room, because a lot of complex patients will come there which need complex management at the right time. So the government as such, the Center of Medicare and Medicaid, has not clearly specified as to what it entails to become a rural emergency hospital, what exact services you have to provide. In fact, one of the lines in that documentation says that even a physician does not have to be present physically in the building. So there are a lot of questions and start to arise that anybody who is running the show from another place, all their motive would be to make profit out of this government money and not give anything to our local citizens. So we must let the county commissioners know, whoever comes and takes over, they should be involved in the town. They should have, and with that understanding, at one point, a lot of our hospital staff and us, we did approach to the county saying that if you give us the opportunity, we can run it. We can run it in a way that everything will be completely transparent, meaning
which provider, which employee is drawing how much salary, where each cent or each dime is going, that will be public information. So they were encouraged with that, and that's what we told them, that please give it to somebody who is not for profit, and rather than somebody who wants to make money and keep our community away from all this.
Amen.
Then the second question is, so if everything goes in, well and Senate, when do we expect things to open the emergency room? I would probably think maybe first of the year if everything goes well. So so again, it will be emergency room only, and then some observation beds, then day surgery, and then we gradually expand. We did had a meeting with the state officials after the governor left to see what can be done on the clinic side, because just by doing a simple math, it was coming out to be about $20,000 to $30,000 of salary per month for the clinic employees, and plus some overhead. And me and my brother, we could not, do that to be able to survive. So we tried to approach the state, and they said there are some fundings available as long as they're not for profit. And they also suggested that we get in touch with Dr. McDuffie, who's the CEO of Agape Clinic, and see how he can help this not-for-profit status. So I would like to invite Dr. McDuffie, if possible, if you want to add some more information here, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Michael McDuffie, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Agape Health Services. For those of you who don't know who we are located right beside Riverside High School, and of course, Martin Jones somewhat sits right behind our campus. So we have been talking with both the county commissioners as well as Dr. Charles, and I do believe that we could, I think we do have some options. Now, it is our goal is that we have a vested interest in Martin County. And of course, we want to make sure, what I told the county commissioners, we want to make sure that the community, folks in this county have access to quality health care. And that's important. So I did reach out to the county commission because we think it's part of, what we should do as being a community partner is to provide all the assistance to the residents of this county to ensure that everyone, regardless of your ability to pay, have access to quality health service. So we are a nonprofit. We have been in business since 1999. My main office, my administrative office, is located in Washington, but we have centers, or our health centers are located, of course, Washington, Martin County here in Williamston, and then we recently opened a site in Plymouth. So, we're looking at this in phases, but what's most important now because as Dr. Manning said, Dr. Charlie, the Rural Emergency Hospital designation is of course tied to the state budget. And so at this point, we don't know when that budget is going to be signed by the governor. However, we do know that the governor is prepared to sign that budget any day now. You know, once they vote, the governor is prepared to sign that vote, to sign that bill. So you all know that the governor was here, and I'm sure many of you may have attended the roundtable discussion with the governor. And so he is prepared to provide the assistance. So there's funding out there, again, in that budget that will help jumpstart this project, and then also to keep it going. So this is what we do. This is stuff, you know, we've done this. This is what we do. We provide those services. We function off, we write a lot of grants, and quite naturally, grants don't cover everything. So you have to have what we call program income to pay the bills. Okay, normally the grants only help us cover the salaries of our employees. However, we do see folks regardless of their ability to pay. So if you don't have insurance, you still can be seen by one of our providers. I think what's important now is what we have to do now is we have to make sure that we can keep good providers in Martin County. Okay, and that's what we all healthcare organizations is fighting for is to attract really good employees and staff. And so we definitely don't want, you know, both these gentlemen, and of course Dr. Manning, I don't know him that well, but I'll get a chance to introduce myself to him tonight. But we have two providers here that we want to keep them in this county, okay? Because we already know that ECU Health and all these other health centers are really fighting to get them, and so there's still a lot of employees that was employed by the hospital that quite naturally they have to feed their family. So we've got to move fairly quickly in order to obtain these great providers in this county, because once they're gone, it's hard to get them back. Okay, and we all know that, and so that's one thing that not only Agape as a small organization, but even your large organization, we all fight for the same providers. And we have to, you know, my expenses is, we still have to pay providers just like they were working for ECU Health in order to attain them. Now, you know, there's a lot of things that I think the work is a lot easier. I think they care a little bit more, you know, what we care a little bit more. I would say that we have a more passionate care for our patients, more so than the factory type, the hospital, the large hospital and health centers and things like that. So our goal is to really try to keep the clinics open first. Okay, and so we've had some conversations. We're going to continue to have some conversations so that the clinics will not have to close. So I think Dr. Charles said that October 5th, we have to make sure that those clinics do not close. That as soon as quorum is out of here, then we can, you know, reopen. So we have that experience. We have the EHR already. We have the staff. But again, we have to really, in order to get to keep the services going, we have to start on this today. Because again, you know, with new Medicaid number, NPI numbers, and as such, they still have to be credentialed because they're working off of a different license. So we're going to do all we can do And we are in discussion so that we can make sure that access to quality health care in Martin County will not go away. Now, one thing I can say, and I'm going to be quiet, but if you give me a mic, it's hard for me not to talk. So, but I can say when the hospital when it does reopen, it's important that you all patronize the hospital. So, what we would have been told that only 30% of the community patronizes the hospital. And so you can't, if you want this hospital, you have to utilize the hospital. Now, one thing I can say, and I don't call no names, but one of my employees had to have a hip replacement. Very good insurance, and but she decided not to go to ECU Health to have her hip replacement. She did it right at Martin General. So Martin General has had some really, really great providers in that team, and let me tell you, there's no net, and we can, and this is what I have seen. So we got to make sure that once we reopen this hospital, because it will reopen, and I don't know if I'm going to be the one to that the county would choose, but I will provide a proposal to the county to operate the hospital, because we know we can do that. And so, but we are invested in the community, and that's what Dr. Child was saying. We don't need any, large corporations or venture capitalists to come operate this hospital, because what they're going to do as soon as they don't make any money, what they're going to do is the same thing that's wrong with you. They're going to close it. Okay, and so we all have invested interest in ensuring that this hospital opens back up and that it operates successfully. All right.
All right, I think it's a good time for us tonight. We're about, let's see, about 20 to 7. Do you guys want to answer some questions from the audience? You got it? All right. All right, what we're going to do, since we have a recorded mic, anybody that wants to come up here, if you have a question for the doctors, then come on up here at the podium with me, and I'll be glad to take questions now for our doctors. I guess I can start it off. The full disclosure, I do work for ECU Health Medical Center, but I wanted to ask you guys, is there a way that we can partner, being as a teaching hospital, is there a way that we could, even though ECU Health doesn't come in, is there a way that we could partner with them as far as having providers like residents come in to do training here at the hospital in the future?
I did approach ECU. In fact, I've been regularly in touch with Dr. Cristiano, who's the chief of nephrology at ECU, previously called as Wyden. And we desperately tried to see if somebody can help partner clinic with us. Till date, I have not been able to, she's trying her best. So we have not been able to receive any clear answer. I've been told by numerous folks in the past that there is a large Medicaid population, there is Medicare, traditional Medicare does not usually has significant pay, and that's why they did not want to come here. Before the hospital was closing, the county approached, and I was in that meeting every single time. The county approached folks, Centera in Virginia, We approached ECU. Before that was Whitehead, of course, that was approached. We approached Atrium, which has a few hospitals in North Carolina. We approached a couple of other providers, UNC and in fact Duke as well. And nobody was interested in coming here, saying that it is very difficult financially to run such a place. So that is why the hospital closed. But now with the government funding available as New Emergency Hospital, that is our only light of hope. I hope I answered the question.
One thing I would say to that is, I think it would be helpful to have a specific training designation to have residents and students coming to the county and working in the emergency room or having some connection. We used to have a resident division of Department of Medicine in the hospital for a floor many moons ago. But something like that would be great because you do several things. You get trainees involved, but you also get those who they consider staying in the community to raise their family and have their children. And that's one of the things that we desperately need. When you have the second largest employer in the county done, you lose a lot of people. And so we really have to think of ways to really, how are we going to recruit people to the county? Certainly providers to stay in the county, stay here, but how do we get more people to actually want to be in Martin County? And that's the long-term thing we need to be thinking about.
I think having a residency program would be excellent. There are some around, in the counties. I know they have one in the high school, and so why can't we have that here in Martin County? And so that's something that I would be interested in pursuing to get residents out here, whether in the primary care setting or in the hospital setting. That's a thing that we should, something I think we should see.
Who else tonight wants to ask a question? It's not about me.
My name's Craig Tucker. I'm the mayor of Janesville, the town of Janesville, and I have been affected quite a bit by the physicians from the hospital, in fact, that notified all brothers and patients. My patients are nurse, and they have done wonders for me, and I give kudos to you guys. The question is, I know that there are a lot of other physicians that were affected like you guys that were part of Martin General. Are we retaining cardiology, podiatry, any of the other physicians that work or other general practitioners?
It's very difficult to hire and retain a cardiologist. Unfortunately, our cardiologist is moving on to Wilson, so we would not have a cardiologist on site. But other facilities like podiatry, I think Dr. Sabo was one of the providers that will still be in town. I'm a nephrologist by training, nephrology, pediatrics, internal medicine, and however, brother, he's a pulmonary and critical care. So we can continue to provide those services. Now, as internists and as a hospitalist, yes, I'm not a cardiologist, but if there is anything I can help with, I would be.
Thank you. My name is Sandy Roberts. I have less of a question, but just to introduce myself. I own the operating company that's recently taken over Carrollton and Williamston, and we have some home health and hospice offices within the state of North Carolina. And I'm just really here to say, look, we'd like to be part of this discussion any way we can help, any way we can provide some financial resources, whatever resources we have to bring to the table. We consider it incredibly important that this be a viable hospital that serves the community. You know, and as the mayor of our county, I certainly understand the economic development impact of not having a hospital. It's something that I believe that this community deserves. And just so everyone knows, the Ashton Bear is working on it, so we sort of have an affinity with the area, but less of a question, we'll just simply say, look, anything we can do, please call on us, we'd love to be part of it. Because I know when it gets down to it, we're talking about, you know, half pennies and dimes and whatnot, that may make all the difference in the world between maintaining providers and not. And so I just would like for us to be part of that conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say, as a moderator and MC or host, look, here as a resident of Williamston and Martin County, our arms are wide open. So anybody that wants to come help us, I think I speak for a lot of the folks here tonight and people watching on Facebook and YouTube, on our YouTube channel. We definitely, any way that we can help, you know, I've been a broadcaster for over 27 years. That's why we're having the meeting tonight. Any way that we can help, we're going to do it. So get the word out. And I would say one thing else, let's make sure we call our state senator, Bobby Haynick. I know he's been working hard, but let's make sure that our state representatives, I know Don Davis couldn't make it tonight, but let's make sure everybody knows that you really care about this hospital. We wouldn't have a meeting tonight and we wouldn't have this huge crowd of people that care. So who else would like to ask a question tonight? And in a little while we'll have just a little bit, we'll have our chance to have public comments. Princess Foster.
Recently, we've been made aware as citizens that there have been opportunities for us to have, like paramedics, ambulance, nightingales to come and help our community, but they have been turned down. Is there any way that we can get those options back? Is it any way that we can reverse those things that have been denied to us as citizens? Because this is a non-paramedic county, and we really need those paramedics because they are allowed to do way more than what EMT and advanced EMT can do. And I just want to know what we could possibly do to get those options back.
So that's a great question, and that was actually one of the things I was thinking about. If we haven't discussed yet, is the EMS and the responding side to the emergency access problem. You know, if anyone's been around recently, you've kind of heard probably stories about how our EMS staff are taxed. Typically taking between 30 to 45 minutes per call, now taking 2 hours per call. Having to go to Bertie, Harbor, Washington, Greenville, a lot further away than Martinsville. So that's a problem. And you may be referring to Senator Hayes' letter that did state there was some additional resources available to the county for things like training, paramedic staff, those kinds of things. I haven't spoken to the individuals in the county, on the county level, but to my knowledge, that was declined at the current time. And I think that's simply because the comment was made that they're handling it okay right now. Well, I don't know if that's ending or if those resources are going to end, but they may be available again. I don't know for sure. But I think it's important that we support the county, all of our EMS staff. I do know the county medical director is evaluating what services can be provided by our intermediate staff. So right now we have basic, intermediate, and then paramedic level. Predominantly the county is made up of intermediate level trained staff. There are certain things that they can't perform on site if they are not paramedic level. So they certainly have additional resources, additional training, additional abilities if they're paramedic, which is great. We've traditionally been a very rural county or a very small county, and because of that, we haven't pushed. As a previous emergency medical director, we never really pushed paramedic status, but if someone wanted to get that training, that was great. So the medical director now is really reevaluating what to be done by intermediate staff because of the crisis. That will help, as long as it's done by trained individuals, of course, and done the right way and quality of care. So I think all those things are being looked at. I don't know all the details as far as why that was declined at the moment. And it may be something we want to revisit at some point because it may be needed. But I think the sooner we get up and running with some access, that's going to be the best solution.
Again, I think, the last where I left, the county and, the governor's office, they were trying to bring on some extra help as far as the EMS is concerned. There was a thought whether they could deploy a mobile ER unit here. But it seems like, we feel that we are a disaster, but according to the government, it is not a disaster, so the mobile ER unit cannot be provided here. And so, we would have to touch base again with the governor's office and find out where they are in terms of giving us extra help, particularly for EMS, ambulance, and personnel. So that is something that needs to be, I think, discussed again with the office.
Who else has a question tonight?
Are we more rural than Bertie County? In Bertie County, that's area.
Are we more rural than in Bertie County, is the question.
My brother just told me, it looks like right now we are, in the situation we are. So, technically, I do not know the exact answer. I can totally understand what you're saying, ma'am, and this is what my first thing, I told the governor, that if somebody gets a heart attack, do you think they have 50 minutes to go to Greenville? And if they go to Greenville, will they get an ambulance? Will there be an ambulance coming to pick them up in time? What's going to happen if a person decides, okay, there's no ambulance coming, and I'm going to take my loved one in my own car. When they reach the ER, they are on the back button. So it is a great situation if you look at from a physician standpoint, from a patient standpoint, but looks like our voices have not been heard. And we urge all of you strongly here to please let your local lawmakers know how vital it is to keep our hospital up and running. I would also want to take a moment here and mention here that during my 10 years at Martin General Hospital, I saw around 17 providers, including the folks who were working in the hospital and the folks who were working in the clinics, come and go. So it was very difficult to retain employees here. A lot of our nurses are from Williamston area, but they were forced to work outside Martin General Hospital because at times they did not like the administrators there. And this is a big gap where this small community, any business which is doing a healthcare business, it should be like a part of family. They should give all benefits and advantage to our staff that who work here, who have their families here, and who are devoted here. If there is an employee like that, I'm pretty sure that we will not have any difficulty in recruiting our staff. Right now, our staff who has an experience of 30, 40 years on things what they do in radiology. Cheryl is working at Martin Hospital 40 years. She knows more stuff than a brand new radiologist. I can bet you on that. And she has to go and work outside Martin County. That's a shame. So we want the folks who have been here all their life and who have been devoted their life to Martin General to be able to work back in the county. And that's what we pray for, and hope for.
Dr. Tully, you said earlier, just to be clear, you said earlier it would take maybe up to a year, best case scenario, to get REH and everything because of all the red tape and the legalities.
I think the earliest possible we can think is from January 1st. By January 1st, as long as the law passes on September 11th. And again, so what you have to do is, once that is there, whoever the provider is will approach the trustee. The trustee will be able to hand over the hospital licenses to them. And then you start working towards gathering a team. There is a lot of renovation that is needed in the hospital. I interviewed at Whitehead Beaufort Hospital a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago. When I entered there, I saw the building, I saw the facility. It's pretty nice. And looking back, when I close my eyes and see, okay, this is how our hospital was, and it feels that, it was not taken care of. I'm going to be honest with you. We needed a lot of repairs. When somebody comes to the hospital, it is not just the service. It is also about having a good experience. And that means the beds are good, the furniture to sit on is good. I was told so many times by the patients, Doc, this couch that you have or this recliner that you have, it hurts when you sit on it. And I had no choice but to say, hey, I can help you with the pillow, but that was not acceptable. Our voices were never heard up at Forum to help us with a better furniture, a better equipment. The dinner trays that were there, they were like 30 years old. So we need some investment back in the hospital. And the county should invest the money that it holds in its bag towards Martin General Hospital. We do not want that money to be wasted on attorneys and other things. That is public money and has to go where it belongs.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
If I may take a moment and ask Dr. Dean to come up on the stage. Dr. Dean. Dr. Dean has been our cornerstone. Dr. Dean has been the cornerstone of Martin General Hospital. We had occasions where we were struggling with certain things, and Dr. Dean came us and helped us out. Whether it was a Sunday afternoon or even sometimes when he was in the church, I used to call him and say, Dr. Dean, I need your help. And he always kept his promises. He came and saw our patients in the hospital. So I would hand over the mic to Dr. Dean.
For those who don't know, I represent Roanoke Therapy Services. It's a company that started 40 years ago under Earl Barner. I was an employee of Earl. I bought the company in order to keep the legacy going. And so at Martin General, we had a patient volume anywhere from 800 to 1,000 visits per month. It was a good staff, great volume. We captured any patients coming from Raleigh East. And so when this shutdown happened, we had to think quick. We moved across town. We're around the corner from Food Line now, 241 Green Street. We are still serving patients. We are open, and we are not going anywhere. To that point, from a Roanoke Therapy Services point of view, we intend to fully support whatever model comes forth. If they need physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy back in the facility, we will make that happen. Even though we moved apart from the hospital building, we are not moving out of the community at all.
Good job.
All right, we'll take another question. Who else wants? Okay, if you'll come on up.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Moses Matthews, Williamston. I'm affiliated with the Eastern North Carolina Civic Group. That's 23 counties in our operation and in our system. We sent a request to our elected officials requesting that they decouple the rural health dollars as well as Medicaid expansion from the budget. So my question is, would that benefit us or would that provide sustainable funds going forward? If that were to happen, would we be in this meeting right here?
The answer to that is in some degree yes. When Governor came to Williamston, he laid down two important points. One was Medicaid expansion. What he mentioned was there are about $1.5 to $1.6 billion waiting to be transferred from federal funds to North Carolina as soon as this bill is passed. Now that is just a sign-on bonus, put it that way. After that, there will be around $550 million each month that will be coming into the state for Medicaid expansion. Now, and this is my own grandchild, which I may be totally wrong. If there are 100 counties in North Carolina, we have 100 counties, and we divide that by 500, that's about $5 million. So will Martin County be getting $5 million each month for healthcare payments? I do not know the answer to that. But we certainly need to get our voices to our lawmakers that our lives are equally important than anybody else. It is not that somebody who lives, as you all know, agriculture is the #1 business in North Carolina. That is the #1 economy thing in North Carolina. And for all those farmers who have been living in the country, they don't deserve health rights? They should have the best health care as any other citizen in the country. So we should get that to our lawmakers that all lives are equal and we should deserve the same.
With regard to the Medicaid expansion, that would help, in particular with rehabilitation services. I don't know if you're aware of this, but adult Medicaid recipients can only access a hospital-based system for rehab. Meaning the freestanding private practice that we have now here in Williamston would not be able to see Medicaid recipients for physical therapy. They would get an evaluation, that's covered. But if they want rehabilitation, they would have to seek a hospital-based outpatient therapist service. So, for that matter, I've been working on that subject matters for years. I've met in Raleigh, I've met with Senator Steinberg at one time, met with Medicaid folks in his office specifically. This is an ongoing battle, but now, because of the hospital shutdown, there's even more reason to pay attention to that policy. So please know that we are in communication with the governor's office regarding policy changes, because you can't expand Medicaid if you don't make it available. So we're working on it.
One thing I would just say, has been said, if you don't remember anything from this meeting, remember two things. Local and state. So if everyone in this room would go home tonight, write a letter, make a phone call, but notify our local leadership, our commissioners, everyone involved in the later decisions, because this has only been 4 weeks, a little over 4 weeks since that.
So we're still in the early stages. I know it feels like a long time, but it's really not. So the more notifications, the more communication that they have from everyone, and then you can email, call, send the Hayden's office, all the local representatives and state representatives that we need to get the message across that our county is in dire straits and we need your help. Very important.
Yeah, I think going back to the Medicaid expansion, if you look at it for rural emergency hospital per se, then it would be a really important thing because ER does see a lot of uninsured patients, which I think for us is almost 40%.
Yeah, so Medicaid was 30 and I'm sure it's 40.
Yeah.
Making half.
Making half of it. And so if that Medicaid expansion helps, that will definitely help the rural emergency hospital, stay afloat. And I'm not sure if Medicaid expansion means better reimbursement or it just means more covered lives. So that is still to be decided by the North Carolina government, whether, like pointed out earlier in the conversation, that there is a lot of money that the state will receive to start or enroll in Medicaid expansion. So I think reimbursements, we don't know, but definitely more lives will be covered. And that will certainly help, I think, anything, whether outpatient facilities, inpatient facilities, and the rural emergency hospital. So like Dr. Manning pointed out, that it seems like a long time has gone by and not a lot has happened. But unfortunately, there is much more waiting that has to be done. That's unfortunately that's where we are between not having legislation and also having the hospital in a legal situation.
We had a question for our social media. They said the panel is working very hard, obviously, on this issue, but how hard is the county working?
So
They're not
I
here.
approached with the same question, it's almost 10 days ago. I approached the same question that how can you help us and how can you help the community? So I was told that since the hospital is in Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there's a trustee who is now the legal guardian, or so-called legal guardian of the hospital, and anybody else by law cannot say anything or make promises or participate in funding any provider. In fact, the wording I was told that there is a gag order on the county that they cannot talk to anybody about the hospital anymore. I was told that they cannot even mow the grass there. There is a helipad there which was used for emergency landings to pick up patients. The trustee there has not even allowed that to open. And as a result, they've been using other sites, and often it has been delay in the care of inpatient care because there's a delay in transfer. But I guess it is in the hand of trustee right now. Now, what I know is the judge in bankruptcy judge who is this bankruptcy was declared in Delaware, and the reason to do that in Delaware is so that there is not much local influence that can happen. It was a calculated move, of course. So the judge has to take a decision in about 60 days from the day of bankruptcy as to what is the next plan of action. they cannot afford a place like hospital hostage for bankruptcy and not let anybody start service there. So what has happened is, whatever assets are there in the building right now, they are under the guardianship of the trustee. The trustee's job is to sell everything and then use that money for whatever purposes whoever is in line to pay those folks. Until then, and so far, nobody has come forward to buy those assets because a bunch of those machines that are there, they are about 30 plus years old. Their CAT scan machine is about 8 years old. If they have to, and it is on lease, it's not even in the hospital property. So if they take the machine out and put it at another site, it will cost more than the price of the machine itself. So the equipment is outdated. The equipment actually has very limited monetary value. So nobody has come forward to buy those things. And I do not know if somebody will. So that is when we approach the county saying that, hey, since you are the number one beneficiary of any proceedings that are recovered from this bankruptcy, because it will be the rent of the building and I don't know, some other stuff. But what we suggested to them is, why don't you put a bid on it and say, whatever is in the building, we will take it as one price. Use the money that you already have for the hospital for it. And if you buy it in bulk, it will probably be, I think at the max, in my opinion, it should be less than $100,000 to $200,000, which is a reasonable price, but that will lock everything in place. Yes, those machines are old, but they are workable. They are workable in the sense that on day one, you do not have to go out and purchase expensive equipment. Once we start, we can start with those and then gradually add more equipment as the finances improve. So, but that question has not been answered. We explained it to them a couple of times, and we have not heard anything from the county regarding that.
Do we have any more questions? Okay.
So much. Today. Well, however, I did get a chance to call the Representative Shelley Williamston because there was a meeting that took place last week at Riverside High, and they canceled that meeting. And I'm asking why. So when I called, he said the state said that they cannot get involved with this situation with the county. So therefore, it falls back to the commissioners, Ronnie Smith, and the county manager. So it's their responsibility to do what they need to do to work with you guys, but yet they still hide every ball that they can because it don't make sense. So I have got a chance to talk to Shelley, and he talked to me personally. He said that if they would just take responsibility, we can move on with this process. However, it is tied up in the bankruptcy, and their hands are tied, and they don't want to get involved. Matter of fact, the state cannot get involved with this situation because it's a county matter. So, with this said, Ronnie Smith and the commissioners need to step up and do what they have to do and take responsibility. The money is available for us to get the hospital back running, but they are set on their nothing and doing nothing to help us.
All right, do we have any more questions, public comments? All right, Mayor?
Good evening. I don't have a question, but I do have an invite. Dr. Schwab, you mentioned that you were looking for a building or facility. Well, it's not in Williamston, it is in Robinsonville, which is working part of the county. But there is a town building that is empty, and it's a medical facility. So I invite you to come talk to myself and our town manager, along with our council, to see if we can get one of those clinics up and running in Robinsonville. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Who else would like to speak tonight? That's what, like we were talking about, the meeting was canceled, but we wanted people to have their voice tonight. And we haven't really had an opportunity for people to be really heard when it comes to the hospital. So who would like to speak tonight?
We have a question. Oh, Steve.
All right, Steve.
Yeah. There you go. Brother Steve.
Yeah, it seems like, my passion is volunteering. And my comment and my question to the panel, providers, money. Tina, I forgot about Robinsonville Hospital. I was back there thinking about the old Martin General and the doctor. And my point on that is providers. It is an issue. Always has been. It is a strain on EMS, people find transport. A doctor is a great facility. I have used it. I am one of the corporates that didn't support Martin General because of the time limits, but I worked there for years. But my question is back to the panel providers. A doctor has a great facility. We're in a dire emergency. We need help today. I'm all for the plans for January 1st. But we got people that are sick today. We need a shorter transport time. What can we do to work with a doctor to get an emergency situation going? This is what I mean. My guys need a local emergency treatment.
So I think we had some initial conversation during the first week or two of the closure of the hospital with the county commission. And one of the things that we said that we would like to do for the community, because we did lose the emergency department, is that we would consider extending our hours. And so by extending our hours, we even talked about maybe extending them to maybe not a full, well, we could do a full-fledged emergency department, but we can do a step down to the emergency department and have that facility open even 24 hours. However, that will take some funding from the county to help support that. We also said that we need to do this so that, again, we can obtain the providers that are working in the ED. Because, again, they have to feed their families, so then this will give them an opportunity to continue their employment. As Dr. Chava said, that the communication with the county commissioner and the county manager has ceased. So, because they are under this, I guess, a gag order not to discuss this, so we can't move forward with that until we can have some conversation. But again, we are looking at how we can use our facility, how I can employ or the contract with the doctors here to expand those outpatient clinics. So even if we can't go into the current facilities, we do have a facility large enough where we can add some services to it. So, again, we're still in discussion, and we hope that we will have a resolution within the next week or so.
Well, that is it's obvious. So, everybody wants your thing. I don't know where you come from, that the guys come to homework on that. So, I would love to see us try to, in some situation, to help out an emergency situation as speedily as possible. Thank you.
All right, who else would like to speak to that? I know some people are going to church, so we understand that. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Phyllis Robertson, but what I wanted to say is, I know y'all said that the county manager and commissioners had more like a gag order on them. Why aren't they here tonight to hear our questions, what y'all have told us? If they're concerned, they could come and sit in the back and listen. They didn't have to say anything. Does anybody know why they didn't come? And
I did text, one of the commissioners and asked them if they would be here tonight. I have not received a reply. I was hoping that if we have their presence today, then there will be some more clarity. I do not know whether the reason they are not here today is because they cannot talk about the hospital. Is that the reason they are not here?
And also, before we get to Ms. Kathy, I wanted to tell everybody, in our social media posts and on our YouTube link, we said all local officials are invited. So I want to let everybody know this had nothing to do with politics. Everybody was invited to this meeting. In fact, the original meeting was supposed to be at the auditorium, but we didn't know if the county would let us have the auditorium. So thanks again to the people here. Let's give a big round of applause to EJ Hayes. So before we get to the next question, I want to let everybody know everybody was invited. It said all local officials, but I want to let everybody know whether they could talk or not, they were invited.
I don't think I need that. For those of you that don't know, I'm Kathy Price. I'm a registered nurse. I started my nursing career at North General Hospital in the ER. I don't know if any of y'all remember Dr. Sheldon. You remember how good he was? You remember how he was eating mess that started here? And what happened? He got run out of the camp because he wanted to progress. Okay? So let's go down. County commissioners, they were getting rid of our hospital. Instead of going with Biden, they decided to go with whoever. And make a long story short, they did not reinvest into our hospital. It was to be a tax loss for them. They did not develop our hospital like Biden has developed for T, Boca, Carl. So we've left again with poor care. So now, my thing is, they talk about God providing emergency services. My question is, what facility is available? Are you going to have oxygen pumped in? Are you going to have suction? Do you have is lab going to be there to draw labs that are going to be needed for emergency patients that are going to be coming in? What physical buildings and are we going to have, quote unquote, take care of these emergencies? We've had patients go to urgent care here in town that were in respiratory distress with strike. They went there. They had nothing. They had no nebulizers, no nothing to treat these patients with. So they're left for EMS to come in to pick them up and to try to get them to the next hospital in time for them to be treated and to save their lives. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with saving people's lives. Okay. We might have mega drastic emergencies every day, but when we do, we're going to need it. What's going to happen when we have a school bus wreck and we have multi-casualties? Are we going to be able to wait for EMS to come from somewhere else? No, we're not going to be able to wait for them to come, let alone the carriers anyway. There's a lot being thought about. The staff that works at Martin General has saved many a patient's life in Martin County. I worked in a factory. I was retired as an intensive care dialysis. I work on a local hospital. And there's good providers and there are bad providers everywhere. That's right. There's some doctors, I don't say this on TV, but I'm gonna let them take care of my damn dog. But I have experienced these two. He was a resident when I was there. But we need help. We need people to provide primary care to our people, and we need emergency services. Even if we don't get the hospital open back up, we need emergency services. And come in and needs the clot buster, and we'll have to wait for somebody to come in. How many times do we have to have somebody to have a cardiac arrest and needs CPR, but also needs to have drugs pushed before they can get to a hospital? Are they going to be able to wait till they get across the Beaufort County line and hope that the paramedic in Berkeley County is going to be able to meet them at the line and do their thing? There's lots of possibilities out there that the general public does not realize, and we are in urgent need. Our EMS are doing more and more and more every day. Our hats need to be off, but we have not had the government, the county commissioners, or anybody in the past up to today to want Martin County to succeed as a hospital. We need somebody that's like those up there that care about these people, that want to be transparent and want it to grow and want to provide good care. You know, I don't know about Agape. I don't know how many providers they have. If the patients come to you, do they have the same provider every time that they come in, or do your providers rotate in and out from one place to another?
So each provider does have their own patient panel. So normally if you establish care, that you will see your same provider. Now there are some times that if someone comes in as a walk-in, if that provider is scheduled as booked, then they could see someone else. But our goal is to always remain with that one provider. So the answer to one of your questions you're talking about in particular to the emergency department, it is the goal and it's the desire is really to get the ED back open in the hospital, because that's where you got all the equipment, everything is there. The only thing that we could provide is, of course, we can provide oxygen, we do have that, but what we can provide is a step down to the hospital. So, you know, for at this time.
But how much of a step down are you talking about? Are you talking about being able to handle somebody with a respiratory distress?
So that is going to be determined based on the providers, the we're able to attract. So I can't do it with my current providers because they work in, they work in with the full panel. Our goal is to try to obtain some of those the providers that we're working with Mark and Jeremy before they leave the county. But maybe not the child, we want to talk about some of the service that we can.
So, just to clarify, there are a couple of things there. It's not as easy to open up such a space. One is we are a state of the state where a statement of need is required. Right now, the licenses for the ER and the hospital are tied up with the trustee. So those are tied up. If somebody applies for a new ER license, it may sometimes take more than a year. Plus, it's a very expensive deal to get those licenses. Now, in terms of putting a small unit, again, as a healthcare professional, you know the details that when somebody comes, they don't tell you how sick they are. I mean, when they show up, then you know how sick they are. So you have to be prepared for everything. Can a small step down do that? It is a difficult question because how will you triage that? How will you say, hey, you need to sit back in the ambulance and go somewhere versus I can see. So there are a lot of ifs and buts to that, and I think we need to do more work here before a clear answer can be given.
I know that people come in and think we're providing emergency services and they can't be taken care of. I mean, respiratory issues are one of the most common causes. If they come in and there's no respiratory therapist, there's nobody that nebulizer treatment, there's nobody to bag them when they cut, there's nobody to intubate them, what's the reason of them going there? If anything, they should have gone on to another hospital to start with. If we're not able to provide full emergency services, then, how are you going to tell somebody to come, well, if you've got this symptom, you go this way, and if you don't, you come this way.
It takes a lot of equipment to run an ER. You have to have lab backup, you have to have radiology, you have to have stuff to, like somebody comes with a gunshot wound, I mean, O negative blood, people who know how to put central lines in quickly. So there is a lot of stuff that will go to open a full ER. And as of now, I mean, the ER that we had all the capabilities there. The equipment is still there. And that's what we were hoping, that if the county buys all of those equipment as a one-stop shop, then they can find a provider and say, hey, now they have a second upper hand. They say, hey, we own the building, we own the equipment. All we want you to do is run the service. And if you don't do a good job, we'll throw you out. And that is a better model than just building alone. So that was my brainchild, and I might not have thought through, but this is what I think would have been a better way of doing it.
My thing is this the county's way of pushing us or giving us a little bit of information, thinking that you're giving something to say we're going to get emergency services in your guidelines, so that we're quieting down and not pushing you more to get the hospital back. Is what I'm also saying. I just think there's a lot to think about when we're talking about emergency services and what we can treat as a step, what we call a step in. When we go from cut fingers or lacerations, or we're really going to say.
What was initially when the governor said, hey, we can help you set up a mobile unit ER here. And at that time, this conversation started where Agape may provide what we call a step-down service. And essentially, it was at that time that there will be a triage to say, okay, you are too sick, you have to go to the main ER. The next door was Agape unit where they could give either fluids or antibiotics and watch overnight and send them home the following day. That was still possible, but without the main ER, it's going to be very difficult because when the patient arrives, sometimes they look okay, in 10 minutes, you have no pulse. So if they came in with their trust of their life to your door, you better be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I understand correctly, but I was told that the individual towns within the county were controlling the EMS squads, not the county itself. So I don't understand, I've only been here since 2020, and I've known the hospital is going under. So I don't understand why our towns haven't pushed and increased the budget to allow for more ambulances, paramedics, when they had all this time to do so and haven't. And I just heard the other day that Berkeley County wasn't able to accept more patients, and that going out to Washington, they had a 10-hour wait. How does that work when you have a stroke or a heart attack? It doesn't.
It does not work, and that is the scare. A couple of days ago, my father was really sick, and my daughter came and said to him, "Grandpa, don't get sick, we don't have a hospital here." And it breaks the heart that, hey, if we cannot take care of our loved ones, what good am I, being a physician, that I cannot take care of the folks whose life depend on me. So it is, county is trying to pay more monies to the local ambulance group. I was told that there was around $600,000 that was planned to spend that to increase the ambulance. By law, they have to take you to the nearest emergency room, that's the law. So that would be Berkeley first. If that is full, then any other PR after that. But yes, if we could have our own, nothing better than that.
Who else has a question tonight? Okay. Thank you again, everybody, for coming out tonight. I know that for some of you it's been church night, so I'm not going to give up church tonight, but I appreciate you doing that.
Hi, my name is Betty Jenkins. There's quite a few that know me. I have been here all over 30 years, and I have used Martin Journal on several occasions. I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I'm here to tell you that this is devastating. It's about to drive me crazy, and I'm sure y'all feel the same way. I also know that you're probably scrambling trying to find other either providers and things like that. I don't want to go anywhere. I didn't move here to have to go out of the county to go to another hospital, a bigger hospital. I've come from Virginia. I've lived there quite a long time. Norfolk Centera is a very large hospital. I think you mentioned that. Been in there a couple of times. You're not going to get the care at these big hospitals. I know. These people here that work, it doesn't matter what you are, if you work in the cafeteria or if you sweep the floors or bring a glass of water to somebody, these folks are gold that work there. Not only when you leave that hospital or you're out and about and you run into the people that you know, and people recognize you. They don't recognize you as a number. Most of them know your name. If you go there, like I have quite a bit, no complaints whatsoever. I don't have the answers, but you need to hear positive. These two doctors up here, Dr. Harsh and Dr. Shaw, I appreciate y'all. Yes, I do see y'all, but you know. We need to try to stay positive. I know it's hard. God, nobody, no more than me, want to see this hospital closed. The clinics, I do not want to see closed either. Where can you go when you go to a hospital? Do they take time with you? Okay, we had to wait. Who hasn't? not really complaining about that, but I definitely do not want to go anywhere else, and I don't want y'all to either. So come on, community, let's pull together, fight, let our county commissioners know how we feel, and shame on them because they're not listening. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. But my hat off to y'all. Y'all are God's seed, and I hope we won't have to say goodbye. Thank you.
Hello, good here.
My name is EJ Warren, and I was a registered nurse there at the hospital in the emergency department for 29 years. I was there for 29 years for a reason. Several times I tried to leave, and I was sick in my stomach thinking that I was going to leave my family, I was going to leave my community, I was going to leave my home. I live here in Williamston. I don't think anybody else deserves my talents and my abilities any more than the rest of the people in this county, in this room. I've taken care of a lot of you in the emergency department. I've had to tell you your loved ones died in the emergency department. I've seen my coworkers sick. I've taken care of my coworkers. You guys are family. Everybody in this room is family. We're all part of the Martin General family. These guys up here are fighting so hard for us to stay open. They are wonderful, wonderful physicians. Just another reason why we need to keep our business in town. It's like when you don't eat at a restaurant and then you're all of a sudden you're surprised because it's closed. Well, welcome to the real world. If you don't keep your business in town, don't be surprised when a business closes because you didn't do business there. You can all sit in this room and say that you support us tonight by being here, but we're not the ones who need to hear your voices. The county commissioners need to hear your voices. The representatives need to hear your voices. They need to know that we need this hospital. It is part of our community. We are part of the hospital, and it is part of us. I've been there for a very long time. I worked in medical records when I was 16. I worked there for about a year in medical records. So I grew up at Martin General Hospital. I became a nurse in 1994, kind of aging myself here. But it was my first job, and it was my true love. And when you love something, you stick around and you fight for it. And that's what we all need to do. Thank you.
All right, we have about 15 more minutes. So if you want to speak, you definitely come on up. How are you?
Hi, my name is Joe Miles. I have a question, maybe I missed it. I know you have addressed about the trustee. My question is, does anybody have access to the trustee other than the county commissioners?
On the Delaware bankruptcy court website is the name and the contact details of the trustee. I do not have it on my hand, but I can certainly provide those if anybody needs. There have been, I think, a couple of community members who have reached out to him. So he does answer his phones. So yes, you can reach out to him.
Okay, that's what I need to know, because, I mean, if it's just left up to the county commissioners, maybe they are not anxious to talk to him and address some things, but if we, as the people, can contact him and ask some questions, maybe that would help in the situation. So you said it's where on the website?
It's Delaware Bankruptcy Court. On its website, I don't remember the exact tabs, but they will list of options there, and Martin General is there for that side. So my biggest concern is that we do not want any of the equipment to be sold out to a third party or removed from the hospital. Because if we use an equipment, it is very, very expensive to buy new ones. If at all the county can secure those equipment, then any provider who moves in, it will be a very easy transition. Versus buying new set of machines for running labs or X-rays or heart machines, echocardiogram, EKG, all of those equipment. If you buy the new one, it's probably 10 times the price of what it is right now. So it is, in my knowledge, best to be able to secure those. The county should go forward and secure those equipment before somebody takes them.
So are you saying that it's better for us to really address the county commissioners?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Sue Garcia. Because of that happened here, Dr. Paul, I am not a widow.
One of the things when Dr. Mann, real quick, when you can come on, when he was on my show, we were talking about local control. Is there any way, one question I have is, once the hospital's back open, can we have a gentleman serve on the board? Like, because we need medical people to be on the board that knows what they're doing. That's my one comment for tonight.
Good evening, panel and everyone here. I worked at Morton General for almost 9 years. I was director of infection control and employee health. And I too have had to utilize our emergency services. I was working one day and had some excruciating pain, and it wasn't for one of my coworkers saying, "You need to go to the emergency room." And I was just gonna go home, and you know how nurses do, we always dedicate and think was nothing urgent, well, some healthcare professionals. And I had to go to our emergency room, and the staff were phenomenal. They took care of me and they got me to the next center. Had I not had those services available and it had prolonged, it could have been fatal for me. So our hospital emergency services is definitely needed. I have a 8.5-month-old, and the other night he started making strident noises, and all I can think about is, where do I take him? You know, that's the only thing I can think about. Thankfully, it was something else and some other, conditions, but nevertheless, my first thought was, where do I go? Where do I take him? So that's just on a personal note. So please, let's fight for our hospital. But I do have a few questions, and Dr. Shaw, you answered a few of them while I was sitting back there. But I know you've had some communications with the county commissioners and probably all of you at some point. But do you have any insight into the healthcare model the commissioners are looking at, since they have not made a bid on their equipment? If they cannot speak on it, why are the county commissioners utilizing the hospital funds to reach out to consulting groups, or has that ceased? And how do we maintain those licenses, or how long can we hold them before they expire once the trustee is no longer involved?
So, you were right, they are working with a consultant over in Berlin. I believe the name is Syrian. And Don Carter is on the panel of those consultants. Hospitals are very complex. I used to think human body is complex. It is complex. But the way government has tied up healthcare in so much regulation, it's literally unbelievable. And I think it is very reasonable for them to have a consultant who can guide them as to what their best options are. And as far as the equipment goes, making a bid on the equipment, which you pointed out, I cannot speak for them, but like I said, you know, the Martin family clinic over here, the specialty clinics, the orthopedic clinic, I was shocked that nobody wanted to come and bid for neither ECU nor UNC nor the other people who raised up. They were not interested, and I am not healthcare, I'm not a healthcare expert. I think that it is less likely that there will be a good bidder for that equipment either, because during COVID pandemic, hospitals had grants and they have purchased a lot of equipment. Their warehouses are full. I don't think you have a paucity of equipment at the, so I don't think they would have any other good buyer than the people of the county itself, or somebody who wants to come and start the hospital. And like, time will tell as to how they get out of this situation where they can be released. Your next question was, I think, about hospital licenses. And I think for that, the State Department, the Department of Rural Health, and the DHSs are working. I think there is a decent amount of time before those licenses have to be returned back to CMS. And actually, I'm not 100%, but the Rural Health Department can actually retain those licenses before they are returned back to CMS. So I think the licenses are being used as a hostage by the trustee. They are also in the bundle of assets that the trustee thinks that the license is an asset, and then he would transfer it to a suitable buyer. But in case there is no buyer, they will be returned back to CMS. But the Department of Rural Health can't stop them from taking them to themselves. So I think they are, the state has worked reasonably to secure those licenses in case there is no potential buyer or the trustee can't find a buyer.
So you said rural health can hold those licenses until it becomes an effect, but if the decision ultimately up to the county commissioners what they do, like, can they not decide to do anything? Or can they decide to not do anything? I mean, like, what are they doing? Right.
I think, unfortunately, the way the legal system is, the trustee has a bigger hand in this and has more power and control over the situation. So once the trustee leaves and is out of the picture, that county has much more open hand. That is what my understanding has been so far of this.
That's my understanding as well. And then after the October 5th date, the gap order would stop. They could be more vocal, more representative, is what I understand. I'm not going to speak for them either, but I think the biggest message I would say is, you know, they're locally, they're our first line contact if we need things sped up. So the more we push them to say this is what we want as a community, the more they can push up the stages as far as the stadium is concerned. Be aware of that.
Thank you.
Who else would like to speak tonight? All right, Francis.
I'm just gonna say something, y'all, because I want y'all to know that God is still able. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of our community, today I stand before you with a heart full of hope and a spirit of unity that transcends any challenge we may face. Our hospital, the heartbeat of our community's health, may have closed its doors, but I firmly believe that together we can not only reopen those doors, but also breathe new life into our shared dream of a thriving and resilient community. In times like this, it's natural to feel a sense of uncertainty and concern, but let us remember that we are not alone in this battle. We have a powerful overseer, a force greater than any obstacle that is unwavering faith in God. It is this faith that strengthens us, guides us, and reassures us that we can overcome adversity. As we embark on this journey to reopen our hospital, let us draw inspiration from the stories of countless communities that have risen from the depths of despair to achieve remarkable feats. We are resilient, we are resourceful, we are compassionate. These qualities define us, and they are the driving force behind our mission. I want to acknowledge the countless individuals who have already stepped forward, offering their time, skills, and resources to make this dream a reality. Your dedication is a testament to the power of community, and it gives me great hope for what we can accomplish together. In this battle, there will be undoubtedly be challenges and setbacks, but remember, the darkest hour is only 60 minutes. Let us face these challenges head on, knowing that if God is our overseer, we are never alone, and there's always a way forward. Together we can rebuild our hospital, not just as a place of healing, but as a symbol of our unity, resilience, unwavering faith. Let this be the rallying cry that unites us with faith in God and unity in our hearts. We shall overcome. Our hospital will rise again stronger and more vibrant than ever. Thank you, and may God bless you. And turn to the neighbor and say, it's not over, and to God be it done.
We have the time for maybe one more, like a quick one, like 1 minute. So if anybody has, all right?
So the day the hospital closed, I took one employee from each different specialty in the hospital to the county's office. So we had an ER nurse, we had a nurse, we had somebody from dietary, we had somebody from the environmental services, we had somebody from the lab, there was a physician, so every single section that we need, we took one person from there and approached the county. And the question was simple. We told them that we need 20 employees during the daytime and about 17 to 18 employees at night to be able to run the ER. We gave them a budget. It was coming out to be about $20,000 per day, including the medications, including the salaries and everything. Now, the question was straightforward, that if we had a couple of months monies in our hands to be able to pay the staff, then we can run it. So it comes out to be simply around $2 to $3 million cash in hand to restart the emergency room. Now, as you all know, that the day you see the patient in the ER or the clinic, you submit the bill to Medicare, it takes about 3 months for the money to come back. That is why 2 to 3 months of salary in hand, so that you can continue to pay the employees and while they are waiting on the CMS to give us the money.
All right, well, it's been a fast 2 hours, so can we thank our panel? Thank you guys so much. Please put the video up. It's awesome to see a standing ovation for sure. Want to thank Porky's Backyard Barbecue, teaming up with myself. Also, give a big hand for EJ Hayes Alumni Association, the building. We will continue to have these meetings from time to time when needed. We thank you very much and hope you have a great night. Good night, everybody.